century, this giant beast has rampaged through the plains of our imagination. But today, new fossils raise a heretical question. Was T-Rex just a Mesozoic garbage disposal? What other nasty shocks might science hold in store for our favorite villain, the legendary T-Rex? No dinosaur has held a more ferocious grip on the popular imagination than Tyrannosaurus Rex. A celebrity of international renown, T-Rex is a universal symbol of rampant destruction and blood-chilling terror.
Professor, there's a big lizard back there and he's heading this way. Now get aboard!
Portrayed by Hollywood as insatiable and unstoppable, Tyrannosaurus has been cast as the ultimate predator. The old-time bestseller among dinosaurs, its teeth are for sale as plastic souvenirs. Welders create metal replicas of T-Rex to keep up with the public demand for its monster image. Famous for its nasty disposition, Rex stands guard at motels, ice cream parlors, and in public parks across the nation. The size of T-Rex is frightening. 3 times the height of a man, it weighed up to 7 tons. Its powerfully muscled jaw was filled with jagged 9-inch teeth. But most frightening of all, this gigantic animal was a flesh eater, the largest carnivorous dinosaur ever to stalk the earth. The presence of T-Rex in museums all over the world suggests an abundance of fossils. But in fact, most Tyrannosaurus on display are only models, cast from the few real fossils in existence. Although T-Rex roamed the earth for 2 million years, until recently, its reputation was founded on only 9 incomplete specimens. All were unearthed in the Badlands that stretched from Wyoming and Montana into South Dakota and western Canada. When T-Rex first appeared 67 million years ago, a shallow inland sea bisected North America, preventing Tyrannosaurus from reaching the eastern part of the continent. The first T-Rex was the prize of legendary dinosaur hunter Barnum Brown, who discovered it in 1900, and Henry Fairfield Osborn, who named it. Both men worked for the American Museum of Natural History. At the time of T-Rex discovery, dinosaur fossils were already attracting huge crowds. For sheer size, nothing like them had ever been seen before. What the fossil record lacked, human imagination provided. This movie version of a battle between T-Rex and Triceratops spawned a monster of mythic proportions that would survive for most of this century. Today, Jack Horner, curator of paleontology at the Museum of the Rockies in Bozeman, Montana, is one of a new breed of scientists questioning traditional ideas about dinosaurs. His suspicions that T-Rex might be an imposter began early in 1990 when a woman named Kathy Wunkel brought him an arm bone she found in Macomb County, eastern Montana. Horner began excavating what would become the most complete T-Rex on record. Buried for 65 million years, the huge fossils required earth-moving equipment to take them out of the ground. The bones became the starting point for a new reconstruction of T-Rex by Montana sculptor Matt Smith.
This is a 1/20th scale model of the Museum of the Rockies Tyrannosaurus Rex, about 38 feet long. One of the things that you notice right off is how narrow from a dorsal view it is, based on the ilium and dorsal vertebrae and the ribs.
T-Rex was once seen as a lumbering, tail-dragging beast. The new version could chase its prey at speeds up to 30 miles an hour, much faster than a human running at top speed. But Horner was not convinced T-Rex deserved its reputation as history's most awesome predator.
When Tyrannosaurus Rex was first found, Barnum Brown brought the specimen in. Henry Fairfield Osborne was the first person to work on it, or certainly the first one to describe it. And he gave it the name Tyrannosaurus Rex, which means tyrant lizard king. Well, and pretty much said it was a predator. But he didn't base that on anything. I mean, he didn't really do the work necessary to determine that it was. He just pretty much said it was. It was a big carnivorous animal, the largest one ever found, and the assumption was that it was a predator.
That assumption inspired the quintessential image of T-Rex as a hunter and a killer. But what Horner saw was an overgrown scavenger, a gigantic vulture preying on dead carcasses. He admits his view of T-Rex is not a popular one.
People don't want to hear that Tyrannosaurus was a scavenger. They want to know that it was a predator, because for some reason that's really special.
Much of T-Rex's reputation as a hunter is based on its huge size. But like a vulture, one of the largest carnivorous birds, T-Rex could have used its size to scare other scavengers away. Horner compares T-Rex with a group of predatory dinosaurs that includes Velociraptor, Troodon, and Deinonychus, all built for speed.
If you were going to design a bipedal predator, you'd make a Velociraptor. They have a short femur, a short thigh bone, and a long tibia, or shin bone. And that gives them the leverage to run. That's why an ostrich can run faster than we can, even though we're about the same size. We have a femur and a tibia that are the same length. Tyrannosaurus Rex also had a femur and a tibia that were the same length.
For the first time, the prestige of T-Rex as a predator seemed to teeter on the brink of disaster. But soon another Tyrannosaurus Rex, bigger and tougher, would take on the challenge. The lack of vegetation and the rapidly eroding sandstone on the arid badlands of South Dakota are ideal for searching out the bones of ancient creatures. Here, fossil collector Peter Larson of the Black Hills Institute has found the widely scattered remains of duck-billed dinosaurs, large plant-eating animals that were the favorite food of Tyrannosaurus Rex. In 1990, Larson's team also found the largest T-Rex ever discovered. At their lab in Hill City, the team concluded that their new find was a female tyrannosaur because it lacked an extra chevron bone found on T-Rex males. Larson believes the extra bone anchored the sex organ of the male T-Rex and allowed it to be retracted when not in use. In honor of the team member who discovered her, the new T-Rex was named Sue.
Sue is slightly larger than the Museum of the Rockies specimen. Not only is each bone a little bit longer, but each bone is actually bigger around, more meaty, more beefy, more robust than the Museum of the Rockies specimen.
Again, the popular image of the tyrant lizard king seemed in jeopardy, for in size it appeared that the male T-Rex was no match for its tyrant lizard queen.
It's really not unusual for females to be larger than male Tyrannosaurus, because in many other species we see the same thing. We see it in most invertebrate species, in most fish species, most amphibians, many reptiles, and even some mammals where the female is larger than the male. And it's really only in those species in which males compete for the right to impregnate multiple females that we see the males become larger.
Sue and her kind lived here from 67 to 65 million years ago, at the end of the age of the dinosaurs. Then the land was lush and full of life, according to senior dinosaur scientist at the Royal Tyrrell Museum in Canada, Phil Curry.
In this part of the world, we would find that the habitats and the countryside would look a lot like the Gulf states or northern Florida does today. There was a diversity of environments along the rivers and so on, and there were wide open areas, and there was some lowland marshes and so on, but they were good places for the Tyrannosaurus to live. They could seek out food in a variety of habitats, and maybe some of those habitats favored them for hunting.
Curry believes this habitat favored T-Rex because it contained a variety of potential prey animals. Sharing the environment were vast herds of duckbill and horned dinosaurs, which provided T-Rex with the enormous quantities of flesh it consumed each day. At Egg Mountain in northern Montana, Jack Horner has found a bone bed containing as many as 10,000 duckbills buried by a volcanic eruption far more devastating than the eruption of Mount Vesuvius that buried Pompeii. For Horner, herds like these are evidence Tyrannosaurus lived by scavenging.
We had duck-billed dinosaurs and horned dinosaurs traveling in these giant herds. And we can make an analogy to the Serengeti plain of Africa, where we have the giant herds of wildebeest traveling by the millions. And those herds have scavengers that actually follow them, vultures and hyenas and all sorts of things. If the tyrannosaurs were not scavengers, there probably wasn't a scavenger, so we had hundreds of animals dying and nothing eating them, which seems unlikely.
The teeth of T-Rex have been found among the bones of the duckbill and horned dinosaur herds that wandered across the late Cretaceous landscape. But both Phil Curry and Peter Larson disagree with Horner's scavenger theory.
The reality is that there really are no pure scavengers and there are no pure hunters. A lion will eat food that's already dead if it finds it, or it will take it down if it can't find dead food. Tyrannosaurus rex and the other theropod dinosaurs would have been in the same kind of position.
I believe that Tyrannosaurus rex would not pass up a free meal. It would scavenge when a meal became available, but it's not going to wait around for something to die. When it's hungry, it's going to go out and kill.
Whether Tyrannosaurus killed for its food or ate carcasses, Peter Larson's colleagues found physical injuries on Sue's skeleton that proved one T-Rex was not afraid to attack another.
In fact, one of these ribs back here next to the shoulder, we found that never really did properly heal. And back inside, in that exostosis, that extra bone that grew around this infected area, we found the fragment of another Tyrannosaurus rex tooth. Sue was bitten and fought with, probably many times over her life, other Tyrannosaurus rex.
Larson also found that Sue had been taken care of. She had once shattered a leg bone, which then healed. This meant that for a long time she had been unable to walk and could only have survived if another T-Rex had brought her food. But then, says Larson, she was killed by one of her own kind.
We found injuries on her skull which were not healed, where the postorbital, the bone behind her eye, was crushed down. The squamosal actually had puncture marks in it, and the left side of her lower jaw was ripped out of its socket and pulled to the side. I believe that Sue's face was actually ripped off by another Tyrannosaurus rex.
The size and completeness of Sue promised to help resolve questions about the behavior and feeding habits of Tyrannosaurus rex. But before she could be further examined, a stroke of ill fortune whisked her away. On May 14, 1992, FBI agents entered the facilities of the Black Hills Institute and took Sue into their custody. Peter Lawson had paid $5,000 to the owner of the land where Sue was found, but the site was inside the Cheyenne River Indian Reservation. A federal law prohibits outsiders from contracting with Native Americans to remove antiquities without the permission of the federal government. The local United States attorney ordered Sue to be confiscated, along with all photographs, records, and papers relating to Sue and her discovery. Local townspeople were enraged. A source of local pride had been taken away from them.
Sue right now is locked away in a sea freight container in storage crates, and we haven't seen her for more than 2 years, and it may be years yet before we'll be able to see her or anybody else will be able to see her. We've been fighting this battle for more than 2 years now and trying to get Sue back, and we're going to exhaust every avenue that's available to us until we do finally get her back, until she finally comes back to the Black Hills Museum of Natural History.
A year and a half after her seizure, a federal appeals panel ruled against Lawson and the Black Hills Institute, returning Sue to the possession of the landowner. Undaunted, Peter Lawson continued his search for more specimens of T-Rex. In 1992, he excavated a less complete skeleton he named Stan. Meanwhile, Jack Horner's challenge to the conventional view of T-Rex would continue to inspire debate. How could a monster with a gaping, powerful jaw full of saber-like teeth be anything but a killer? When he first discovered T-Rex in 1900, Barnum Brown assumed it was a predator. It was certainly the largest meat-eating dinosaur ever found. The monstrous skull of T-Rex in particular seemed designed for killing. Engineered to be strong, it was also light. Large holes in the skull reduced its weight. But the bone structure was strongest in the jaw, to withstand the awesome force of the muscles that could crush the bones of any animal.
This is a jaw of a real Tyrannosaurus rex. You can see one of these huge teeth in place in the jaw and another tooth lying on the side of the jaw here. You can look at this long root and how it's anchored into the jaw. This was a killing machine. This was a machine which could bite through even the leg bone of another Tyrannosaurus rex.
Jack Horner is not convinced. Whether it hunted or scavenged, T-Rex would have needed its steak knife teeth and enormous jaws for cutting the huge quantities of meat it consumed into smaller chunks. But Horner's argument pivots on another part of T-Rex's anatomy, its tiny arms that have puzzled paleontologists for decades. Horner has found with the Montana Rex the first complete arm bone of Tyrannosaurus ever discovered. Though T-Rex was over 15 feet tall, its arm was no bigger than the arm of a man. Horner commissioned sculptor Matt Smith to reconstruct the arm of the Montana Rex, using the musculature of a variety of modern-day animals and birds for comparison. A biomechanical study of the arms showed that the animal could lift up to 400 pounds. It was stronger than expected, but still puny for an animal that weighed up to 7 tons. Horner concluded the arms were virtually useless for capturing prey.
Tyrannosaurus Rex's little arm would not reach its mouth. One arm wouldn't reach the other arm. He couldn't clap. Try to imagine yourself trying to catch a chicken with your hands tied behind your back. I mean, you'd be a mess. A bipedal animal needs to be able to stabilize its prey, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex couldn't do that.
Unquestionably, the arms of T-Rex were much less efficient for capturing prey than those of Allosaurus, an earlier dinosaur that resembled T-Rex.
If we were to compare Tyrannosaurus rex forelimb with an older bipedal carnivorous dinosaur, Allosaurus, you can take a look at its hand, and it was made for predatory behavior. Now, when you compare that to Tyrannosaurus rex, its hand has become smaller and apparently more specialized.
But by far the most impressive evidence that Rex was a predator were its senses. A large meat-eating dinosaur must be able to find its potential victims anytime, anywhere. And T-Rex had the means to find them. A keen sense of hearing, for example, well adapted to tracking down moving prey. And unlike most dinosaurs, its vision was stereoscopic, which made it easier to see movement.
If you look at the eyes, you can see that the eyes are extremely large, and the optic lobe of the brain is also well developed. So again, there's an indication that it has a good sense of sight. Furthermore, in Tyrannosaurus rex, the eyes are facing forward. And like human beings, they would have had stereoscopic vision. This is something that would be very useful if you're a hunter, not so useful if you're a scavenger.
The eyeball is going to be really tiny, really small. But if we look at the animals like Velociraptor or Troodon, they have huge eyes. They have huge openings for the eyes.
Perhaps even more important for a meat-eating animal than its sense of hearing and sight was T-Rex's ability to smell its potential victims, alive or dead.
It has a huge olfactory bulb on the brain. We know this from CAT scanning a relative of Tyrannosaurus called Nanotyrannus. This olfactory bulb gave it a tremendously acute sense of smell, a sense of smell which is not necessary for someone who is only eating carrion. I mean, we as humans who have a very poor sense of smell can smell rotting animals sometimes a mile away.
Remember in Jurassic Park, the guy says, "Don't move, the Tyrannosaur won't see you." Well, he might not have seen you, but he certainly would have smelled you.
But to Horner, the large olfactory lobes of T-Rex have a different meaning. For an animal that feeds primarily on dead animals, the sense of smell would be the most important sense of all.
And in fact, if you compare the size of the olfactory lobe to the brain size, a Tyrannosaur had a larger olfactory lobe than any animal that ever lived except a turkey vulture.
To some, the still unresolved argument over the true nature of T-Rex's feeding habits might seem pointless, a scholarly exercise with little impact on our lives today. But what of the millions worldwide who cater to the Hollywood image of T-Rex as our worst nightmare? If it turns out to be a scavenger after all, would Tyrannosaurus rex be ruined forever as the monster we've grown to love? In 1994, paleontologist John Storer discovered another T-Rex, this one in the Canadian province of Saskatchewan. After only 9 T-Rex finds in all the years from 1900 to 1990, 3 nearly complete skeletons have been found in the space of only 4 years. And with the increasing interest in paleontology, more fossil hunters are on the trail of the elusive Rex. Perhaps the world will soon find out if it was truly the monster it was made out to be. Could it really be a gigantic prehistoric vulture? For now, its reputation is safe. For most of us, it is still the quintessential dinosaur. The one, the only, the legendary Tyrannosaurus rex.